Shalom, all praise to Yahweh Bashem Shah, double honor to the apostles of GMS, and shalom to the brothers out there that's pushing the truth and truth with sincerity. My name is Amnawa Allah, coming at you with another lesson. As you can see, what time it is right here, it says 4:28, well 4:29 a.m. now, November 9th. Donald Trump has just been elected president over an hour ago. Now, I want to do this lesson going into how, regardless of who becomes president, it really doesn't matter because the Most High's will going to be done. And because the whole thing about, because some people feel, oh well, we elected Donald Trump, we elected the lesser of two evils. Well, it really don't matter because regardless of what, it's still going to bring in World War III. Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump had both proposed publicly that they had different views on the Syrian crisis and Russia. And right here is an article from RT.com. It basically just says, if elected president, Hillary Clinton will plan for Syria no-fly zone, could trigger World War III. I'm not going to read this whole article. From October 15th, 2016. It says, talking about America's exceptionalism, Clinton is trying to provide a rationale and an argument for U.S. hegemony and domination of the world, says Gerald Horne, author and historian, in an attempt to offer voters a different perspective on the United States than her Republican challenger Donald Trump, who is pushing an America First platform. Clinton this week promoted the idea of the United States as the exceptional nation in the world. If there's one core belief that has guided and inspired me every step of the way, it is this: the United States is an exceptional nation. Clinton, the Democratic presidential nominee, told a meeting of bullshit, man. See that? Told a meeting of the American Legion's National Convention. Give me 1 second. This thing is acting stupid now. RT spoke with author and historian Gerald Horne for his opinion on these statements and what they meant for global politics. I'm just going to jump right to the point because I don't want to be here all day. As you can see, it's 4:30 in the morning and the computer's acting up. It says, this is RT asking him a question. It says, the U.S. exceptionalism can also be seen through the role of international police the country has long assumed. And it gives you these 3 rules of U.S. exceptionalism. Our killing is better than theirs. Nothing we do can be terrorism. Only enemies are war criminals. Now it says, let's put it this way. Like many people in North America right now, I'm very much concerned about the prospect of war right now. When Secretary Clinton talks about establishing a no-fly zone in Syria, she is basically saying that if she's sworn into the highest office in the land in January 2017, she will be challenging Russian jets over Syria. This is a direct provocation. It could easily devolve into World War III. I'm very much concerned about the hawkish language come out of Washington that in a very cavalier fashion is talking about confronting and challenging Moscow, a major nuclear power. This is insanity. This is lunacy. This is extremely dangerous. The United States itself as the police officer of the planet Earth. The United States styles itself as the police officer of planet Earth. The problem is no one has appointed the United States to be police officer of the planet Earth. Exactly. I would advise Secretary Clinton, as I would advise others in Washington, that they should take their demands and their claims to the United Nations Security Council and United Nations New York and hash them out there and come to a compromise rather than unilaterally seeking to impose their diktat all over the world, most recently in Syria. Now there's another article right here. It says Trump blasts Obama. This is from Breitbart.com. It says Trump blasts Obama, warning World War III. I'll read this whole article, it's not much. All right. While sounding restrained when it comes to the use of military force, GOP frontrunner Donald Trump wasn't willing to give President Obama a pass for seeming to ignore dangerous world to focus on climate change this week in Paris. We have a president over there worried about climate change instead of worrying about nuclear weapons coming into the middle of our cities. We are being run by stupid people. Trump said in an exclusive interview with host Stephen K. Bannon on Sirius XM's Breitbart News Daily. Dismissing concerns over global warming, said Trump, we have a form of global warming that's a very serious form of global warming, and that's called nuclear global warming. Because if we don't get our act together and corral all these countries that want to get themselves some real power, we're going to be in big trouble. you do have North Korea, which nobody talks about. Concerning the increasing Islamization of Turkey, Trump said, "You don't want to have World War III of what we're talking about. It's a problem. It's going to be a problem. ISIS is composed probably of 60,000 people, fighters. It's a problem that we should have been able to win easily, but we haven't used the right thought process." Suggesting he find the right people and deal with it, Trump said, "We will take it out, but this is not something that you want to end up in World War III over." Trump contrasts his view with those who wanted to go right after Russia, given events recent events between them and Turkey. "I'm tougher than all them times 10, but there are times to fight and there are times you don't have to fight." Calling for a stronger military, Trump said America will be stronger than ever under his leadership. But who wants to fight over Syria and literally start World War III, he quipped. If you listen to some of the people on that stage, the Republican debate stage, and some of the people in the Senate, you're going to end up in a world war over what? Over Syria? That's not what you end up in world wars over. Trump insisted he would prefer to solve the problem with diplomacy. And you can read the full interview down here. So Trump says he wanted to solve this problem in Syria with diplomacy. Hillary Clinton saying, "Oh well, I want to put a no-fly zone over the land." Which, if you do that, you're gonna eventually have to shoot Russian planes up the sky because they're not gonna obey that no-fly zone, and that's going to bring for World War III. We read in both these articles. Now, Trump is president, right? He don't want to do no-fly zone thing. He want to do diplomacy. Now, let's say that happens. This is Obadiah chapter 1 verse 7. It says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border." Look up that word. I believe this right here is confederacy. Okay, confederacy. See, this is Barayath. It says covenant, alliance, pledge between men, treaty, alliance, league, man to man, constitution, ordinance, monarch to subjects, agreement, pledge, man to man, alliance of friendship, alliance of marriage between God and man, alliance of friendship, covenant, divine ordinance with signs or pledges, phrases, covenant making, covenant keeping, covenant violation. So when it says the men of thy confederacy, what it's saying is, which is in the Hebrew Barayath, it's saying the men of thy agreement, or the men of thy pledge, or the men of thy alliance, or the men of thy diplomacy that Trump's planning to use, right? Now that he's the president of the United States. Okay? Bear in 1 second as you can clearly see the laptop's acting up. "All the men of thy confederacy, or all the men of Barayath, or all the men of thy allegiance or pledge or diplomacy have brought thee even to the border," right? The borders of war, which is out there in the Middle East. "The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee." So even if Trump does make some kind of diplomacy with Assad and Vladimir Putin, and they come at peace, the men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee. They deceived him. Why? "And prevailed against thee." So why did they deceive him? Because the Most High is going to put in the Russian's mind to think an evil thought. Pursuing the book of Ezekiel 30th chapter. "And prevailed against thee, defeated thee, overcame thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him." Look at that word wound. It's the Hebrew word mazawar, which means net, trap, meaning dubious, plot, wound. Let's look at that word dubious. What does that mean? What does that word dubious mean? See what that says. Hesitating or doubting. So the men of thy confederacy, or the men of thy barayath, or the men of thy alliance, or pledge, or covenant, or diplomacy, have laid a wound under thee, or have laid a mazawar under thee, or a hesitating or a doubting under thee. Why? It also means not to be relied upon, suspect. So they laid a wound under you. Why? Because those people that you're making that deal with are not to be relied upon. They're to be looked at in a suspect manner. Okay? And guess what? They're looking at America in a suspect manner. They're looking at America as someone they can't rely on because they know the history of America. How America says one thing and does another. Go down here, Merriam-Webster says dubious is derived from the Latin verb dubare, meaning to hesitate in choice of opinions or courses. So they laid a wound under thee, meaning what? They've hesitated in choice or courses. They may have made diplomacy with you. They may make diplomacy with you, but they're hesitating in choice of opinions or courses. I mean, they're going to hesitate in the choice of that in the choice of what that diplomacy is all about, of whatever agreement that diplomacy stands on. They're going to be hesitant on those opinions. They're going to be hesitant on those courses. So therefore, they're not going to be relied upon. They're going to be suspect, and eventually, America is going to be destroyed by thermonuclear destruction. And reading on that verse, if it don't pop up, I'll just end it there because I read the whole verse. Alright, so with that, I'm going to close. I'm going to say, oh, praise to Yahweh, Shema Shah, double honor to the Apostle GMS, and shalom to the elect out there. Shalom all.